This is your 28storms.com Cyclone update for Monday, the 5th of December. We are still monitoring two tropical areas of low pressure in the southern Indian Ocean, but the one closest to Australia is beginning to dissipate, and the latest outlook from the Joint Typhoon Warning Center is indicating that that one only has a low chance of development within the next 24 hours. But more importantly, we're now dealing with Tropical Cyclone 1S that has just recently been upgraded by the JTWC, and we can see that it's forecast to intensify in the short term while beginning to make a turn more toward the southeast. The latest microwave satellite composite of Tropical Cyclone 1S reveals that the system is getting its act together. We can see a tightly wound center here beginning to develop, and we can see the same general organization trend on the visible satellite, and in fact I would not at all be surprised to see an eye-like feature begin to form here within the next 6 hours. On the latest visible zoomed-in animation, you get the overall picture, though, that much of the convection is still displaced ever so slightly to the west and north of the center, and that is more than likely due to some modest easterly wind shear that we will look at in just a moment. And the same overall pattern is visible on the enhanced infrared animation, as we can see the center is located somewhere in this general area, while the coldest cloud tops and convection is located just to the north and west. So with that in mind, this is a look at the latest wind shear analysis from the University of Wisconsin, and we can see that our tropical cyclone is along the northern edge of the favorable conditions aloft. Again, the darker blue colors denote areas with very little in the way of any vertical wind shear, and as we switch the graphics, you will find that the upper level ridging is located just toward the southeast of the tropical cyclone, so the ridging and the center of the storm itself are not vertically stacked, and that is the reason why we do have some modest easterly shear taking effect. All that being said, however, it does look as though the upper level conditions will be favorable for some continued development at least over the next 24 to 48 hours, and as we turn on the water vapor imagery, we can see that overall there is mid to upper level ridging in place, but the main feature that is going to completely diminish the storm's intensity is this mid to upper level trough that we see beginning to enter the picture in the southwest Indian Ocean. We touched on this topic in yesterday's video, and so far the forecast appears to be on target. Here's another perspective of the wind shear over the southern Indian Ocean, and our tropical cyclone is located within this general swath of very low vertical wind shear, but just toward the south, and especially toward the southwest. That is where you see the vertical wind shear on the definite rise here, especially over southern Madagascar and the southwest Indian Ocean. We see that the troughing is generating in upwards of about 70 knots of shear, and all the forecast model guidance has the trough continuing to move eastward in a hurry. And within the next 3 to 4 days, I definitely expect our tropical cyclone to be on a significant weakening trend as it begins to turn more toward the southeast. Now, before we take a look at the latest dynamical model forecast, it's also interesting to note that out of all the tropical cyclones that have passed within 200 nautical miles of the current location of Tropical Cyclone 1S, not one system in recorded history has made it all the way to the coast of Western Australia. As we can see, the predominant storm track is simply for the tropical cyclones to meander around much of the south-central Indian Ocean without really harming any land masses. It should be noted, however, that the tropical cyclone tracks that you are observing are for tropical cyclones that have passed through this area during the month of December. So with that in mind, this is the latest 0Z forecast from the reliable ECMWF model, and we can clearly see Tropical Cyclone 1S swirling about to the southwest of Indonesia, and as we go into 24, 48, and 72 hours, the storm has most definitely made that turn more toward the southeast, but as we go into day 4, and especially day 5, we see that there's really nothing much left of this tropical cyclone, and by day 6, the remnant area of low pressure is remaining well out at sea to the west of Exmouth, Australia, with no additional signs of development in the Indian Ocean or southern Pacific. Meanwhile, some of the remaining models like the GFS are showing a fairly similar forecast. If anything, they maintain the tropical cyclone area of low pressure just a little bit longer, but generally all of the models are in agreement that Western Australia will not be seeing much in the way of any significant precipitation. As stated yesterday, you may get some passing showers, especially along the coast, and some additional cloud cover, but as of right now, we still are not anticipating a significant flooding threat or even a wind threat from what is left of Tropical Cyclone 1S as it continues to inch a little bit closer to Western Australia in the medium range, and we don't really foresee any additional tropical cyclone development elsewhere, at least within the next 3 to 5 days. So thank you for tuning in to 28storms.com/cyclone. We will have another video update by tomorrow evening.